asshole, under his breath, and mentally marked the man for later attention. Cassadaga hadn't earned his reputation by ignoring the senseless jibes of idiots. Standing amid the blast and flurry of snow, ice, and turbulent winds, Dagger counted down the seconds. The noise was tremendous, the intense roar an assault to the senses. His mouth was dry, and he could hardly breathe. Below, through the turmoil, he made out the sheer mountain face that was their target and gripped both sides of the door. He spotted their objective nestling at the foot of the mountain. "You see the church?" Ash was staring out of a window, speaking to Base. "What kind of an idiot would build a church at the top of the Alps? I mean, who's going to go there?" Dagger shook his head and questioned why he'd allowed himself to be part of this crew. Usually he worked alone, but today's payday was not to be ignored. And the Amori had always been a professional, specialized outfit. The only difference was his orders and job details hadn't come from Marduk, the Amori's merciless leader. Someone new was in charge. Dagger wasn't about to question his source. The advance had been paid. The job was, well, crazy, to put it mildly. And somehow, even though he'd been retired for a decade, the Amori had known where to find him. A scary alliance, he thought. $1 million alliance. And because of that, positively his last. "Go," the pilot announced through the plane's communication system. All 4 jumpers had heavy backpacks which they heaved out first. The backpacks were equipped with their own smaller parachutes which would open at a predetermined height. Dagger didn't hesitate and leapt out of the protesting plane into tumultuous mid-air. A safe landing was by no means guaranteed, but high risks came with every well-paid job. Dagger flinched as high winds tore at him, buffeting his face and clothing as he plummeted through the skies, keeping a close eye on the trajectory of the backpacks. Frozen hail punished his exposed skin like a cat-o'-nine-tails. Below, the mountain face fell away at an acute angle down to the church, which was his target area. Dagger gripped the straps clamping the parachute to his back, his mind already focused on what happened next. The chutes were of the highest quality. As Dagger had said often before, what kind of person buys a cheap parachute? Together, he and his companions swept down the mountain through the savage elements, pulling their ripcords and opening their jellyfish-like canopies, unwelcome intruders trespassing on a spectacular vista. Dagger prepared to land as the ground rushed up. A sea of white snow sped by. He struck the ground and rolled, the chute splaying out behind him. Dagger rose to his knees, cut away the fabric and shrugged out of the deployment bag. Leaving it behind was easier and would offer no obvious clues as to his identity. And there was no surveillance at the church. Rather than modern CCTV supervision, which might be hacked or leave evidence on hard drives or digital clouds, its very remoteness and inaccessibility was this church's protection. Built in the lee of an Italian Alp, amid and above other high peaks, the Church of St. Michael of Alatea perched like an ancient fortress, a stone-walled bastion with a snow-shrouded secret. Dagger found and hefted his heavy backpack, glanced at and waited for his companions. Seconds later, they were ready. Both Ash and Base pulled compact Heckler & Koch machine guns from their packs. Ivana held a large military knife, her weapon of choice. Dagger preferred a simple, reliable handgun, like the single-stack 9mm Glock 43 nestling in his hand. Reliable, flat-carrying, and semi-automatic, its only drawback was its 6-round magazine capacity, but Dagger had plenty of spares. And besides, Ash and Base were supposed to be the killers today. "Remember," he growled into their earbud-based comm system, "no survivors. We destroy it all. The prize is all that matters." "And our payday," Ash grinned. "Just focus," Ivana told them. "No mistakes." Dagger nodded his agreement. Above them, the church waited. A paved open-air passage led them between 2 long curving walls through a high arch to a frost-choked front.